On the first day of the Lunar New Year, a distant uncle came to my house to wish us a Happy New Year and casually handed me a red envelope. After seeing him off, my mother immediately called me over. "Give me the envelope." I didn't keep it for myself. I placed it right on the table. Inside was exactly $100. Mother frowned, her voice full of suspicion. "Only 100? How much did you hide?" I told the truth. "No, Kevin, I didn't hide any." Fury instantly flared up in her eyes like fire. "If you didn't hide any, why is there only 100? Who gives New Year's lucky money with just that amount?" Clearly, she saw me receive the envelope and place it immediately on the table without touching it, yet she still looked at me like I was an enemy. "Take it out." "No, Kevin, I don't have anything to take out." She grabbed my hair and yanked it hard backward. The pain tearing at my scalp made me fall back, my forehead slamming straight into the corner of the table. Before my eyes, everything turned into a blurry haze of red blood. "Take it out." "No, Kevin, I didn't hide anything." She let go of my hair, grabbed the wet table rag, wrung it tight, and whipped it hard across my face and neck. The rag was freezing cold. Each lash was a stinging streak of pain, feeling like both ice and a knife cutting into my flesh. "Take it out." "You didn't hide it, huh?" My mother seemed to go mad. She tore off my jacket, pulled down my pants, ripped off my sweater, stripping away my trousers and socks. Grabbing me by the hair, she dragged me out of the house. Outside, it had just started to snow. I was naked, with almost nothing on my body, wearing only a tank top and underwear, standing barefoot in the middle of the road, shivering in the freezing wind. My mother didn't look back. She just threw me down by the utility pole at the intersection and walked away. That year, I was 13 years old. The story spread throughout the town. From then until the end of high school, people occasionally called me the naked girl. Also, from that day on, I had no illusions left about the place called home. I huddled under the utility pole for a long time, until the uncle from earlier returned. Seeing me, he hurriedly carried me back. When we arrived, my father had also just walked in. Afraid the uncle had come to borrow money, he pretended to be busy and was heading out. Uncle Vincent, I took the wrong road, and when I turned back, I saw the girl crying under the utility pole, her head bleeding. Wasn't everything normal just a moment ago? My mother replied indifferently. "Oh, she ran out there herself." The uncle no longer cared about saving face. He questioned them with a gritty voice. Uncle Vincent, how could a child run out there by herself without wearing any clothes? It's freezing outside. What if she freezes to death?" My mother said coldly. "If she freezes, she freezes. Who didn't get cold when they were young? Is this girl acting aggrieved? People have to suffer and endure injustice to grow up." My father added indifferently. Dad, it doesn't hurt for a child to endure a little cold. It builds a better constitution. Surely the girl did something wrong." I turned to the uncle and tried to force a smile. "No, Kevin, uncle, it really was my fault. Mom hit me because she loves me." The uncle paused for a moment and sighed softly. Uncle Vincent, but even when disciplining a child, you can't force her to stand half-naked out in the snow like this." I quickly interrupted him. "No, Kevin, my parents treat me very well. I'm just ungrateful. Uncle, you should go quickly or you'll miss your bus." I really wanted to tell him everything, that this wasn't education but torture, but I didn't dare. The uncle looked at me for a long time, seeming to understand something. Finally, he didn't say another word and silently left. I dragged my frozen body back into the house and picked up my clothes. That large house suddenly had no place for me to sit down. My mother spoke coldly. "Kevin, your father and I are planning to have another child. When that happens, we won't be able to love you like we do now. You have to learn to be understanding. You're a big girl now." I didn't understand what kind of love she meant by love you like we do now. Later I learned that when she said those words, she was already pregnant. Father was still young, not yet 40, so having a child was easy. This time everything went smoothly. The baby was born safely, a girl. During those days, I lived in anxiety, waking up startled every night. I worried that if the baby wasn't a boy, my parents would definitely take their anger out on me. I had even thought of ways to cope. If mom pricked my hand with a needle, if dad burned my skin with a cigarette, but I would beg them. No, Kevin, mom, dad, please beat me with a belt. It hurts less with a belt. The last time I said that, they actually stopped and only made me starve for a day. But strangely, this time my parents weren't upset at all about my sister's birth. Mom slept in the main room holding the baby. Every night, the look in her eyes as she watched the child was strangely gentle, as if she were admiring a treasure, something she had never given me in her entire life. Every time my father came home from work, before he even took a sip of water, he would rush into the room to see my sister. He would either bring her a small gift or pick her up, laughing happily, kissing her tiny feet repeatedly. They looked so happy as a family of three, while I was like an outsider, sometimes looking exactly like an unpaid servant. Kevin, haven't you made milk for your sister yet? Kevin, wash your sister's bottom and change her diaper. Hurry up. Kevin, there are a few pieces of chicken soup left from the other day. Finish them so they don't go to waste. My parents never had an affectionate nickname for me. Then 2 years passed. I graduated from middle school with excellent grades. I passed the entrance exam for the city's top high school. I was very excited because in high school I would be able to live in the dormitory. I thought I was about to truly live, to breathe my own air. When I broke the news to my parents, my father just asked one question. Dad, you plan to go to high school? That question stunned me. Shouldn't everyone continue to high school after graduating middle school? He walked closer, patted my shoulder, and spoke in a coaxing voice. Dad, Kevin, look, our family isn't just raising you anymore. We also have to take care of your sister. She's still small and can't just rely on mom and dad forever. You're also a part of this family, so you should help take care of your sister, right? The school you got into is good, but it's too far and living in a dorm is inconvenient. Why not go to a school near home? I've already asked. You don't need to stay in a dorm, so you can come home often to help mom watch your sister. Father's words were like a bucket of cold water thrown straight at me. The school near home he mentioned, everyone knew it was a den of thugs, the worst, most chaotic, and most dangerous school in the city. Out of 10 people who went there, all 10 were there for anything but knowledge. Just last week, a large-scale brawl had occurred inside the school. More than a month later, during dinner, he spoke with a proud voice. Dad, Kevin, I've taken care of your enrollment. It was very hard work. You have to study properly. Don't disappoint me. The school is right nearby, so convenient. Hurry up and thank your father. I put down my chopsticks, looked up, and asked. Kevin, will my sister also go to the school at the end of the street in the future? My mother reacted as if she had been electrocuted. She slammed her bowl onto the table, her voice sharp and cold. Don't you curse your sister. Enrollment day arrived. I dragged my feet slowly to the school gate. From a distance, I could already see the chaotic schoolyard. I knew I couldn't step into this place. My life was already dim. If I fell into this hell, I feared I would never see the light again. Behind me, there was a soft voice calling. Uncle Vincent, little girl? I turned around. It was the distant uncle. He smiled, his eyes holding a hint of worry. Uncle Vincent, are you enrolling? Why are you standing out here and not going in? We hadn't met for several years, yet he recognized me immediately. Kevin and I got into First High, but my parents are making me study at this school. I don't want to go in there. He froze, his eyes widening in astonishment. Uncle Vincent, you got into First High? Good heavens, don't rush. The principal of First High is an old classmate of mine. Let me call and ask. A moment later, he returned, his expression complex, but gleaming with a bit of warmth. Uncle Vincent, the principal knows about your situation. He also really wants you to study at First High. But now your academic records have been entered over there. The only way to come here is to do a transfer procedure. First High has no problem with it, only, this requires the consent of your guardian. I lowered my head. I knew very well my parents would never agree. Uncle Vincent, come, I'll take you home. We'll talk to them together. I followed him home. He told me to wait outside the gate and walked in alone. The door closed. Half an hour passed. Finally, the door opened, and he walked out with a gentle smile. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, your parents agreed. They're letting you study at first high." I was stunned, unable to believe my ears. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, they were worried about you going to school far away, so I've already rented a room near the school for you. From now on, if you want to go home, you can, but if not, staying there is fine too. If you have any difficulties, just find me." I almost didn't dare believe this was the truth. A trembling joy crept into my heart. "New, Kevin uncle, so can I go to the school to report right now?" "Nom, Uncle Vincent, wait a little bit." "New, Kevin, wait for what?" Uncle didn't answer. He just walked to the corner of the wall and lit a cigarette. The cigarette burned down to the filter. The house door burst open from the inside, revealing my mother's arm. She threw out a suitcase, not bothering to look up at me even once. "Go." Uncle Vincent picked up the suitcase and walked straight ahead. I looked at his back, suddenly feeling as if I had left the house I had lived in for 15 years forever. "Uncle went to meet the principal for a bit," he said. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, you follow Joe to the hotel to rest. I'll pick you up for dinner later." Joe was Uncle's driver, with neatly cut hair, and he didn't say a word the whole way. The car stopped in front of a hotel that looked old but luxurious. As soon as we entered the lobby, the reception staff simultaneously stood up and bowed. "Staff, hello, General Manager Joe." I was stunned. General Manager Joe? Wasn't he a driver? The receptionist led us upstairs and opened the room door. Inside, there was not only a bedroom but also a living room and a private office. "New, Kevin, Mr. Joe, this place must be very expensive, right?" "Nom, Joe, that's not for you to worry about." That afternoon, Joe came back to pick me up. He said all the enrollment procedures were complete. Tomorrow I could officially go to school. Uncle had a meeting, so he told Joe to take me to see the rented apartment near the school. Calling it viewing houses, in reality, there was only one place, an apartment in a high-end complex a few minutes' walk from the school. The concierge there gave a radiant smile as soon as he saw Joe. "Concierge, hello, General Manager Joe." "Nom, Joe, I like it. This unit, good lighting. Prepare it for me." Concierge, "Yes, General Manager Joe. She can move in today." Leaving the apartment complex, we went back to the hotel to get my things. I looked at Joe, unable to hold back a question. "New, Kevin, Mr. Joe, you're really amazing. Everyone calls you General Manager and they obey you instantly." "Nom, Joe, they aren't obeying me. They're obeying Mr. Vincent." "New, Kevin, Mr. Vincent is my uncle?" "Nom, Joe, correct. His name is Vincent Yuan. The hotel you stayed in and the apartment you're about to move into are all his. The new lecture hall that First High just built was also funded by him. He is the owner of a large real estate group. People respect him, so they just casually call me General Manager Joe. Actually, I'm just the general captain of the driver team, abbreviated as General Joe." I moved into the apartment and officially started the new school year. First High was a top-tier school. The workload was suffocatingly heavy. I had almost no time to think about going home. Uncle Vincent occasionally called to check in. When the National Day holiday came, I thought about it for a long time and finally decided to go home to visit my parents. Reaching the door, I took out my key, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't insert it into the lock. Looking closely, I discovered the lock had been changed. I could only knock. I knocked for a long time, but no one opened. Finally, Mrs. Lewis from across the hall opened her door and looked at me in surprise. "New, Mrs. Lewis, Kevin, you didn't go on the trip? Your parents said the whole family was going on a trip to Hainan. Why didn't they let you go along?" My face instantly burned hot, feeling both ashamed and choked up. I forced a smile and lied. "New, Kevin, I still have makeup classes, so I couldn't go. I forgot my key, so I'll probably head straight back to school." "New, Mrs. Lewis, your house key is right here. Your mom was afraid she'd forget, so she left a set with me so I could open the door for you." The lock was changed. The door opened, and I walked in. My mind was blank. In the living room hung a large family photo, My parents were holding my little sister, and all three were smiling radiantly. Habitually, I walked toward my room. As soon as I pushed the door open, I froze. My room had been completely redecorated. The walls were painted pink, a white princess bed stood in the center, and a thick fur rug covered the floor. Dolls and stuffed animals were scattered everywhere. My bed was gone, my desk was gone, my bookshelf was gone, and there wasn't a single book left. I reflected on it. It made sense. Those things never belonged to me anyway. When they didn't need them anymore, naturally they would throw them away. I rushed into my parents' bedroom and pulled open the drawer. If I remembered correctly, all the family's important documents were kept there. In the bottom drawer, under a stack of documents, was a brown file bag. I opened it. The household registration book fell to the floor, and at the same time, several other papers slid out. I picked them up and read. On them was written, Paternity Test Report. Analysis according to Mendelian inheritance laws. Conclusion. Based on existing data and DNA profiling results, there is insufficient basis to prove Howard Zhang is the biological father of Kevin Zhang, insufficient basis to prove Linda Su is the biological mother of Kevin Zhang. My heart felt like it stopped beating. I wasn't their biological child, so that's why they were so cold. The report fell from my hand, and at that same moment, another paper slid out. I bent down to pick it up. Paternity Test Report. Conclusion. Confirmed Howard Zhang is the biological father of Kevin Zhang. Confirmed Linda Su is the biological mother of Kevin Zhang. 2 test reports. One said I wasn't their biological child, and one affirmed I was indeed their biological child. What on earth was going on? I bent down to pick up both sets of papers and began to compare every line, every word. The 2 reports were dated exactly 5 months apart. Aside from that number, every other detail was nearly identical. My gaze stopped at the subject's information section. In the conclusion stating I was their biological child, the gender of Kevin Zhang was listed as female. But in the version stating I wasn't their biological child, the gender was listed as male. Were there 2 people named Kevin Zhang? I was stunned, my mind in chaos. Was I their biological child or not? The answer that seemed clear had now turned into a blurry circle. Never mind, whatever the case, I had to leave. If I wasn't their biological child, I had to leave this place even more. If I was, then I absolutely couldn't stay. I took the household registration book and left the house. After the holiday, I completed the procedures to apply for my ID card. I didn't return the household registration book. Even if they noticed it missing, they probably wouldn't think of me. Those 2 test reports were like 2 blades. One cut all ties, the other severed all attachment. During 3 years of high school, I never went back to their house, and they never once initiated contact with me. I turned into an emotionless study machine, eating, studying, sleeping, taking exams, without any pulse of youth left. The only thing that made me feel I still existed was the occasional call from Uncle Vincent or when Joe came to take me out to eat. I rarely got to see Uncle, but in my world, he was the only person who resembled sunlight. Every time he appeared, the cold in my heart seemed to melt a little. I also heard Joe mention that Uncle Vincent's business was prospering more and more, expanding not only in real estate, but also into many other industries. He was constantly busy, sometimes on business trips away, sometimes abroad. Joe Uncle Vincent wants me to register for university in Hong Kong. That way my perspective will be broader, and my future will be brighter. To be honest, my first reaction was to refuse. Because of my family and childhood, I was used to withdrawing, feeling inferior, and living closed off. I didn't even dare to open my heart in my own hometown. Going to a strange place like Hong Kong would surely make me feel even more lost. But then, just one casual remark from Joe made me change my mind. Joe Uncle Vincent didn't have much schooling, but his business is getting bigger. He really needs someone educated, capable, and trustworthy to help him. In that moment, I decided I wanted to take the entrance exam for a Hong Kong university. A week later, Joe took me to meet a few teachers. He said getting into a university in Hong Kong required not just high scores, but also passing an interview. Those teachers were invited to tutor me privately. From then on, outside of regular classes, every weekend I studied extra regarding the culture, language, and everything related to Hong Kong. The teachers all said I learned very quickly. Cantonese was no obstacle for me. Once I could listen and speak fluently, living there would no longer be a hurdle. Time flew and the college entrance exam arrived. I did well with no mistakes. I quietly returned to the apartment, silently waiting for the results. Then, what I hoped for most arrived. I received an acceptance letter from the University of Hong Kong. And at that same time, Uncle Vincent also arrived. His eyes were radiant, joyful like a biological father. Uncle Vincent, congratulations. I am truly so happy for you. I hope you will study well and return soon. At first, I didn't feel anxious, but when Uncle Vincent said those words, I couldn't hold it back anymore. Tears streamed down my face. He spoke gently. Uncle Vincent, go visit your parents. You're so accomplished now, they will feel proud too. I thought silently for a moment, then looked up and said, Kevin uncle, can you help me investigate something? At the end of August, I returned home. The door was wide open, and a group of workers was moving things in. Mrs. Lewis, the neighbor, stood in front of her door, grumbling, directing the movers. Mrs. Lewis, be careful, don't scratch my shoe cabinet. Seeing me, she immediately switched to a bright expression. Mrs. Lewis, is that Kevin? Kevin, yes, Mrs. Lewis. What is everyone doing? She deliberately spoke loudly as if for the whole neighborhood to hear. Mrs. Lewis, you see, early in the morning, these movers are making a racket, dust everywhere. I'm old, yet I have to stand here directing this bunch. I paused. Kevin moving house? Who's moving? Mrs. Lewis, who knows? I don't know them. This house has been empty for half a year. Today someone new is moving in. I looked closely at the house number. It was indeed my home. Kevin, where are my parents? Mrs. Lewis, huh? They moved out a long time ago. You didn't know? I couldn't answer. She suddenly lowered her voice, shaking her head in lament. Mrs. Lewis, Kevin, not to be a gossip, but your parents said you hadn't been home for 3 years, didn't know where you ran off to, kept no contact, and didn't know what you were doing. As a girl, you must have self-respect and love yourself. Don't tell me you followed some bad boy and got involved in the underworld or gangs. Hearing this, I felt both amused and stung, but spoke gently. Kevin, Mrs. Lewis, with arms and legs like mine, who would let me into a gang? I passed the college entrance exam, so I came to visit you and share the news. Mrs. Lewis passed the college entrance exam? Where are you studying? Kevin, Hong Kong. Mrs. Lewis, good heavens, isn't that place full of gangs too? You remember to keep yourself safe. I smiled softly. Kevin, Mrs. Lewis, do you know where my parents moved to? Mrs. Lewis, I do. Your mother even wrote a note to leave with me. Wait a moment, I'll go get it. A moment later, Mrs. Lewis brought out a small piece of paper. Mrs. Lewis here. Golden Orchid Complex, Building 3, Apartment 2002. You really shouldn't be unaware of where your own home is. I have to scold you. That's not being filial at all. Go home quickly and apologize to your parents. Golden Orchid Complex. Houses in this area weren't fancy, but they belonged to a good school district. Everyone who bought a house here did so to get their children into a top school. Once done, they would sell, and someone else would buy, a ceaseless cycle. My parents moving here was clearly to prepare for my sister to enter a good school. I found the address and knocked. The door opened. My mother was wearing silk pajamas, her hair messy, her face still looking sleepy. She stared at me blankly for a few seconds, then asked in astonishment, Mom, what are you doing here? From behind her, my sister poked her head out, her eyes wide with bewilderment. Kathy, who is she? My mother still had no intention of inviting me in, which was fortunate since I had no desire to step inside. Kevin, where's my father? I have something to say to both of you. Mom, what is it? We don't have any money for you. I raised my head and shouted loudly, "New, Kevin Howard Zhang, come out here." My father ran to the door in confusion. Seeing me, his first reflex was to frown and speak with annoyance. Dad, why is it you?" "New, Mom, she said she has something to talk to us about." Dad, what could you possibly have to say? You don't study properly. Other people's children get into prestigious universities, and look at you, you probably can't even pass. I took a breath, suppressing all reactions. My voice was calm but clear. New, Kevin, first, I finished the college entrance exam. Second, I came here just to say I've been accepted to the University of Hong Kong. I'm leaving next week. My mother looked stunned and whispered to my father, "New, Mom, University of Hong Kong? Is that school decent?" Dad, not necessarily." Mother immediately raised her voice as if afraid I couldn't hear. "New, Mom, I don't care what school you got into. This house has no money. If you want to study, handle it yourself. If you can't study, find your own way." New, Kevin, I didn't come to ask for money. I just wanted to inform you since you still technically hold the title of my parents. Having said that, I turned to leave. My mother called out again. "New, Mom, wait." I stopped. Her voice returned to a whisper. She pulled on my father's sleeve, then turned to me and spoke slowly. "New, Mom, your father lost his job. The household has no income now, and your sister is still small. Could you speak to Vincent Yuan? Even though you're of age, if you could ask him to continue providing money for you, and later Mom will gather it to pay him back." New, Kevin, what money? New, Mom, the money he transfers to us every month. Back then, didn't he say he would provide until you turned 18? Now you're of age, but your sister isn't. You also have an obligation to raise your sister. How can he just stop like that? The memory of that morning flooded back before my eyes. The morning when Uncle Vincent told me to stand outside the gate while he went in alone to talk to my parents. I clenched my fists, trying to keep my voice steady. New, Kevin, how much do you want? My mother grinned broadly, thinking I was serious. New, Mom, just like before is fine. New, Kevin, how much was it before? New, Mom, the first year was $5,000 a month, the second year $6,000, the third year $7,000. Now just calculate it at $7,000. It's not much. Prices are expensive now. Just buying Kathy 2 sets of clothes takes it all. $7,000 a month. Uncle Vincent had sent $7,000 every month to my mother just to buy their consent for me to go to a key high school. I stood there listening to her use a commanding tone mixed with laughter to beg. I felt both nauseous and numb. New, Kevin, why don't you find him and ask him yourself? He's your relative, isn't he? New, Mom, I tried. He ignored me. That heartless man, who knows what business he's in, if the money is clean or not. He made me lose so much face with people. I looked at her for a long time. New, Kevin, fine, I will speak to him. I turned my back and walked into the elevator. As the doors were slowly closing, I heard my mother's voice ringing out from behind, sugary sweet. New, Mom, Kathy, baby, that was your big sister. She probably went to the wrong house. Maybe she was just too hungry. Come on, let's eat. Don't mind her. For 3 years, Uncle Vincent had used money to buy my freedom. He gave me a place to live, provided food, paid for tuition, and hired private tutors on weekends. All just so I could go to school like a normal child. He even instructed me to visit my parents if I had time, saying they were, after all, the parents who gave me life. I once wanted to thank him directly, wanted to genuinely say, thank you for everything, but I couldn't open my mouth. So I wrote many drafts and finally sent him a simple message. Not long after, he replied, the matter you asked about has been investigated clearly. Tell Joe to pick you up now. Joe took me to a VIP room in a coffee shop. Inside, besides Uncle Vincent, there was a man wearing dark glasses. Uncle Vincent, the matter you wanted to know, I asked Hui to investigate. Let him tell you. Hui, it's not complicated. Then he began to recount the story. Hui, 18 years ago, when you were born, your parents chose to return to their hometown, a small district, to give birth. At that time, The old district hospital was in the process of moving to a new facility in the central town. The old hospital area was preparing to be renovated into a nursing home and rehabilitation center. When your mother was admitted, the entire obstetrics building was having its exterior renovated to preserve its antique look, so scaffolding was erected all over the walls, with workers constructing on the walls and roof every day. The day you were born, the emergency department unexpectedly received multiple mothers in labor at once. Right at that time, the obstetrics staff were being rotated to the new hospital for system training. Short on staff and delivery rooms, they were forced to set up temporary beds in the hallway while hurriedly recalling the doctors who were away for training. Your mother initially planned a natural birth, but on the way to the exam, she was bumped into by another pregnant woman who was also in labor pain. Both started bleeding and were rushed into emergency C-sections. Both births happened almost simultaneously in two adjacent operating rooms. At that exact moment, the scaffolding outside the building suddenly collapsed, pulling down a section of the outer wall right onto the area where the two operating rooms were in use. The doctors and nurses operating thought the building was collapsing from an earthquake and hurriedly grabbed the newborns and ran, scattering everywhere. The entire floor was in chaos, no different from an accident scene. Your mother hadn't even been wheeled back to her room. She had to crawl onto the transfer stretcher herself. But by then, she couldn't keep track of the children who had just been born. After many rounds of searching, the children were finally returned, but returned wrongly. Your parents thought they had given birth to a boy, named him Kevin Zhang, and raised him for over a year until the other family came to their door saying the babies were swapped. The other party was wealthy and proactively proposed a DNA test to verify. The result confirmed both sides had swapped children in the chaos that day. Faced with the evidence, and under the intervention of the local police, your parents were forced to swap the children back and redo the household registration. Your parents didn't bother giving you a new name. They just took the name Kevin Zhang from the previous child, changing only the gender from male to female. After raising you for a few months, they quietly went to do another paternity test. Perhaps just to reconfirm, but it was enough to show that deep down, they never truly believed you were their biological child. Usually, a DNA test only needs to verify the relationship between father and child, but both of my family's reports tested both father and mother. It was because they didn't believe, or didn't want to believe, that the child before them was their own flesh and blood. Hui brought a stack of documents including the file of that medical accident, witness testimony recordings, and even backup copies of the paternity test center's files. God knows how they dug these things up. 18 years had passed. Back then, phones didn't even have color screens. The truth was finally peeled back. Yet, strangely, I didn't feel much emotion. I used to think that when I knew everything, I would be shaken, devastated, or utterly desperate, but it turned out no, I just felt empty. I used to wonder what kind of situation would require someone to do 2 DNA tests for a newborn. What kind of family could treat a child who couldn't even speak yet like that? I stood up and bowed deeply. Kevin, thank you. Thank you, Uncle. Hui left the file and quietly departed. Uncle Vincent helped me sit down, smiling. Uncle Vincent, you are still young. The road ahead is long. This bit of past is worth nothing. There will be bigger things waiting for you to do. Kevin, when I graduate, I want to come back and help you. Uncle laughed softly, teasing. Uncle Vincent, all right then. My company, aside from the boss who is uneducated, everyone else is an elite graduate. I boarded the flight to Hong Kong, carrying my personal luggage and a suitcase of necessities Uncle Vincent had prepared for me, including a salary advance. He forced me to take it as if afraid I wouldn't have enough confidence to step into the new world. For years in Hong Kong, I felt like I was reborn. I gradually opened up, beginning to change from an insecure, quiet girl into someone who could laugh, speak, and dare to step into a crowd. I started participating in more social activities. I could stand in the middle of a lecture hall speaking to 500 people without my hands shaking. I could walk on the crowded streets of Hong Kong, pretending to be a local to strike up conversations. Sometimes I'd get caught, but the next time my Cantonese would be a little more fluent. For years passed like a glimpse through a window, like fine sand slipping through fingers. I brought my diploma back to the mainland. Uncle Vincent's company had now moved to the most prosperous central district of Shanghai, and his enterprise spanned half of China. I stood below the office building, my heart pounding with nervousness. I thought the person picking me up would be Joe, but perhaps he was busy with more important things. An assistant of Uncle Vincent approached to greet me and led me upstairs. Entering Uncle's office, his meeting had just ended. Uncle Vincent ran quickly towards me and hugged me tight. He had aged a bit, but his face was still radiant, his spirit full of charisma. "New, Kevin, I want to work here, from the lowest position, like a normal job applicant." Uncle Vincent thought for a moment and nodded. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, start in the administrative department, get familiar with the company processes and the people. Do it for 3 to 6 months, then I'll transfer you to the operations department." "New, Kevin, please don't tell anyone that I knew you beforehand." I then casually asked one more question. "New, Kevin, how is Joe doing lately, Uncle?" Just hearing that name, Uncle Vincent frowned slightly and spoke briefly. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, don't contact him now. He has his own situation." "Own situation?" Before I could hide my suspicious look, Uncle Vincent sighed and spoke plainly. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, he was arrested, sentenced to 5 years in prison. He stole confidential company documents to sell to competitors, accepting huge kickbacks. After being discovered, he fabricated stories to slander the company and blackmail us. I had no choice but to report it to the police. Everything caused the company serious losses. We almost didn't recover. It was my fault for trusting him too much." I was stunned, unable to believe a person like Joe, who used to be careful, sincere, and sensible, would welcome my return this way. Uncle Vincent looked at me and patted my shoulder. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, humans are like that. No matter the age, you must always be vigilant against the darkness within yourself." For months later, I was transferred from administration to the sales department, sent directly down to a local project to work as a real estate salesperson. Work at the sales hall started at 8 a.m. and went until 9 p.m., followed by client statistics meetings and data summaries. By the time I dragged myself back to my place and climbed into bed, it was after 11 p.m. I was very unaccustomed to such high-pressure pacing and strict targets, especially since most of the time we were doing meaningless work. The manager was incompetent but dumped all responsibility on subordinates. I gathered all the data and wrote a very detailed report sent directly to Uncle Vincent. That night, he called me immediately. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, Kevin, how do you think this should be handled?" I didn't hesitate, answering decisively. "New, Kevin, a project management company should be like a school operating a faculty. Teachers manage classes, classes manage groups, groups manage students. Assignments from above, reports from below. But when facing customers, it must operate like a professional restaurant. Good chefs cooking delicious food, enthusiastic servers bringing a pleasant experience, careful cashiers calculating every bill, and extra surprises to make guests return. Not gathering everyone together and forcing them to cook, serve, and carry the accounting books for the boss all at once." Uncle Vincent was extremely surprised. He repeated it several times and then said, "Nom, Uncle Vincent, think it through some more, write it into a proper proposal, and come back to headquarters to report directly to me." I felt like hot blood was pumped into me. For over 10 days and nights, I fought in excitement, surveying during the day, reading and writing reports at night. I plowed through piles of management documents and finally completed a full proposal. Taking advantage of the holiday, I flew back to Shanghai. Uncle Vincent put on his glasses and read carefully from beginning to end. At the end, he took off his glasses, wiped his eyes, and looked at me differently than usual. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, finally, someone can truly help me. You wrote very well, your thinking is thorough. But you're still young and lack experience. Don't rush, keep training slowly. Long-term, maybe 5 to 6 years. Short-term, 2 to 3 years. There will definitely come a time when you achieve great things." 3 months later, the project sold beyond expectations. I became the top salesperson in the region. At the celebration party, the sales director pulled me aside, both excited and frank. "Nom, sales director actually. The first day you arrived, I knew you were an acquaintance of Chairman Vincent. At that time, I didn't expect anything. I even hoped you'd get bored and quit early, so I intentionally caused some difficulties. It was my fault. But today I look at you with different eyes. It was my narrow-mindedness. Congratulations, you will go even further." Just then, the whole hall buzzed. The main doors burst open, and Uncle Vincent walked in. At first, no one knew who he was, but seeing him walk between 2 rows of VPs and secretaries surrounding him, everyone understood immediately this was the person controlling headquarters. The sales director almost ran over to bow, his face turning red with emotion. Only then did the hall truly know who I was. Uncle Vincent stepped onto the stage. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, I came here today without notice for 2 reasons. First, I don't want this celebration to turn into an event honoring me. I don't deserve it. Second, to sincerely thank all of you. Congratulations to everyone on achieving such wonderful results. I'm old. The company eventually needs the youth to stand up. I hope you kids won't let everyone down and will achieve something worthwhile." About 20 minutes after he left, a hotel staff member came to find me, saying someone was waiting in the lobby. I followed her out. Uncle Vincent's car was parked quietly by the road. The car drove slowly along a small, deserted street. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, I plan to establish a new department in charge of all media for the group. Next week there will be an official decision. You will be transferred to headquarters to directly manage this sector." I was momentarily stunned. "New, Kevin, but I'm only 25. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, so what if you're 25? Youth isn't the problem. Some things should be given to young people to do. Think about it, some people are 35 and have never left home. You have lived independently for nearly 10 years. Right, I had left the so-called home for 10 years. Uncle asked. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, do you miss them?" "New, Kevin, no." "Nom, Uncle Vincent, if you don't miss them, how do you know who I'm asking about?" I also laughed helplessly. "New, Kevin, that means just hearing the word them, I defaulted to them. That word has been tainted in my head, Uncle." Uncle handed me a piece of paper. On it was an address. "Nom, Uncle Vincent, before you return, I did a little investigation. They aren't living well lately. Both have been unemployed for a long time. Now you have the ability to give them a job. Whether you want to do that or not is your right." A few days later, I went to the address written on the paper Uncle Vincent gave me. Calculating it, my sister was 13 years old this year. The map indeed showed a place called Apricot Blossom Court, but I walked around the whole area without seeing a sign, or even an entrance. I almost wanted to give up. Just then, a bus stopped not far from me. The door opened, and a girl jumped off, her face full of annoyance. She turned her head and shouted at the woman walking behind her. "New, Kathy, it stinks to high heaven. I don't want to take the bus. I don't want to live in this place." The woman panicked and tried to soothe her. "New, Mom, Kathy dear, don't be angry anymore. Let's go home, and Mom will cook something delicious for you to eat." It had been 10 years. She was older, more haggard. Kathy Zhang, the precious little sister from years ago, flopped down on the bench at the bus stop, her face scrunched up, bursting into loud sobs. "New, Kathy, I don't want to stay in this ragged place anymore. Everywhere is full of trash. My classmates all laugh at me, calling me the trash heap princess. Why do they get to live in big, beautiful houses while I have to live in this pile of garbage?" My mother bent down, trying to force a coaxing smile. "New, Mom, Kathy, be good. Whoever bullies you, Mom will go to the school and talk to the teacher, okay?" "New, Kathy, stop it. In elementary school, you said the same thing. You went and talked, and then the teacher told the other kids not to play with me anymore. Now I'm in middle school, and you still want to tattle to the teacher? Do you want me to die?" Just then, a sedan stopped by the road. The window rolled down, and a girl poked her head out, sneering. "New, classmate, oh look, Kathy Zhang, you live here? No wonder you smell." Haha. The car sped off. Kathy wailed, crying and running after it. Her backpack strap broke, the weight pulling her into a stumble, and she fell prone onto the asphalt. At that exact moment, a bus entered the station. The driver didn't see the child in front of the vehicle. The heavy wheel crushed over her wrist. My mother went crazy, screaming. She crawled over to pull the girl out from under the chassis. Kathy stared blankly for a few seconds, then screamed in agony. The driver hurriedly got out, his face pale. He tremblingly called the police and immediately called for an ambulance. Someone recognized my mother and shouted, "Passerby, I'll go call Mr. Zhang. He's playing mahjong on the first floor." A moment later, that person returned panting, looking confused. "Passerby, he didn't believe it. He said I was making it up. He even said it's best if the car runs over both mother and daughter to save him the trouble. He must be losing badly. His face is black as coal, scary to look at." The ambulance arrived. My mother suppressed her shock to carry Kathy onto the vehicle. The crowd gradually dispersed. Following the direction the person pointed, I walked into the dilapidated housing area. The mahjong room was renovated from a house on the verge of collapse. The smell of mold rose in waves. From inside, his head poked out of a broken window frame. It was indeed that face, black as ash, eyes red as blood, but still constantly staring at the tiles in his hand. "Card player, old Zhang, you're really out of luck today." "Card player 2, that's right, not working, but sitting here enjoying yourself." "Hey, someone said earlier that a kid got run over outside, and it was your daughter. Is that true?" He roared. "Nom, Dad, keep playing. Stop talking nonsense. If I don't win back my capital today, no one steps out of here." Just then, 2 female neighborhood group leaders wearing red armbands stormed in. One shouted loudly, "New leader, who is Howard Zhang? I'm asking, who is Howard Zhang? Card player, looking for a match? Old Zhang has a wife already." The whole room burst into laughter. One of the 2 women slammed her hand on the table. "New leader, I'm asking one last time. Who is Howard Zhang?" He kept his eyes glued to the tiles, answering sluggishly as if it had nothing to do with him. "Nom, Dad finding me for what?" "New leader, you're really something. Your daughter just got run over by a bus. The ambulance just took her away. Yet you're still sitting here playing mahjong? Are you still a man? Are you still human? Someone like you will be struck by lightning sooner or later, mark my words." My father gritted his teeth, glared, and screamed back, "Nom, Dad, your daughter got run over. Your whole family got run over. So what, you old hag? Your husband wanted to play cards, but didn't have a seat, so he made up a story to chase me away, right? Old already, but lying like a child. New leader, you'll regret this. Just you wait." She turned and left. My father didn't bother looking up. He continued shuffling the tiles, his face unchanging. At this point, I truly lost all hope. If they all 3 of them had lived together peacefully and happily, perhaps I would have had some reason to forgive. But seeing this scene with my own eyes, I understood. The problem wasn't that they loved my sister and hated me, but that they simply didn't deserve to be human. I returned to headquarters, back to Uncle Vincent's side. From then on, he began taking me along to every event: internal meetings, trade negotiations, professional seminars, banquets. I was even closer than an assistant, almost always by his side. Because of that, I gradually learned many important things surrounding the company. During that journey, I also met the man I loved. His name was Julian Yu, the son of a close business partner of Uncle Vincent. We met at a commercial event and got along well on every topic. Uncle Vincent soon saw I had feelings for him and actively encouraged it. He said Julian was born into an intellectual family, had been academically excellent since childhood, and had even studied abroad for 3 years. He was a man both kind and capable. Julian's father also liked me very much. We started dating. Julian was a gentle, humble, polite man who lived with principles, especially being extremely filial to his parents. Knowing I considered Uncle Vincent like a biological father, he naturally treated Uncle like a father in the family. We had been together for over 3 years. Our feelings were stable and deep, and it was time to think about marriage. The wedding was held at one of the most luxurious hotels in Shanghai. Most details of the wedding were prepared by Julian, and I only had one request. "No, Kevin, I want Uncle Vincent to walk me down the aisle. No one else. The person handing me to the groom must be him." "Nom, Julian, no problem. On that day, I'll have a big surprise for you." The wedding day arrived. I had finished putting on my wedding dress and was sitting in the waiting room. The door opened and Julian walked in, his face radiant. "Nom, Julian babe, you look beautiful today. I have a surprise for you." I made a little change to the wedding procedure. "No, Kevin, what change?" He winked mysteriously, then turned to the door and called out loudly. "Nom, Julian, come in." 3 people walked in. At that very second, I felt the blood in my body reverse flow. My father, my mother, and my sister. They walked in, bowing, their faces full of fawning. Their familiar demeanor was still despicable, still shameless, as if they hadn't trampled on me all those years. Julian smiled and stepped closer. "Nom, Julian, do you know how hard I worked to secretly find your parents? Don't I deserve a reward?" He tilted his cheek towards me. I clenched my fists, my fingertips turning white. Anger was screaming in my chest. This was what he called a surprise? "Nom, Julian, they are your biological parents and sister. Of course, they should be present at your wedding. Besides, I already spoke to Uncle Vincent. He doesn't need to go on stage later. We'll invite your biological father to walk you down the aisle and personally hand you to me. How is that? Isn't it a huge surprise?" He leaned his face close to mine again, his smile still gentle as usual. I looked at the face right in front of me and suddenly felt it was horrifyingly strange. He was a refined, filial man, but I never thought he would be filial on my behalf. "Nom, Dad, Kevin, Mom, and Dad have been looking for you for years. If it weren't for Julian, by the time you got married, we parents wouldn't even know." "No, Mom, that's right. What an unfilial daughter, getting married without telling her parents. If people found out, what face would we have left? You handle it quickly. Arrange 3 more seats at the main table. If there's not enough food, tell the kitchen to make more. We traveled a long way and haven't eaten anything yet. We're starving. Oh, and about the dowry. There must be a dowry. Our daughter isn't being given away for free." I didn't answer them, just quietly looked at Kathy. She lowered her head, shrinking behind our parents' backs, her hands hidden deep in the pockets of her baggy clothes. "Nom, Dad, it's Kathy, right? Your biological sister. Hurry and call your sister." My father nudged her. She glanced at me, whispering, "No, Kathy's sister." "No, Kevin, what happened to your hand?" She tremblingly pulled out her left hand. There was no hand, no fingers, only a round, stumped piece of flesh left. "No, Mom, your sister is so pitiable. She had an accident when she was small, and her whole hand was cut off." My mother spoke while wiping tears as if acting in a family tragedy. Julian wrapped his arm around my shoulder and whispered, "Nom, Julian, you see? Your parents, your sister, they suffered so much. We should be filial to them. After all, you are their daughter, and I am their son-in-law. I believe you have your grievances, but from now on, let me share the burden with you, okay?" The room was terrifyingly silent, with only my voice ringing out clearly. "No, Kevin, good my ass." Julian's whole body froze. His eyes went wide looking at me. "Nom, Julian babe, what did you say?" "No, Kevin, good my ass." "Nom, Julian, you're cursing?" "No, Kevin, cursing you is showing respect. If you like being filial to them, go be filial yourself." I took off the veil, removed all the jewelry, grabbed my dress and coat, and turned to walk straight out of the waiting room. Behind me, Julian's voice rang out urgently. "Nom, Julian babe. Kevin Zhang, stand right there." He ran up to block my path. "Nom, Julian, what do you intend to do? Don't be so childish. Those are your parents. How can a wedding be happy without the parents' blessing? Don't you understand? Living in this world, one cannot fail to be filial to those who gave birth to them. I'm telling you the truth. Uncle Vincent, after all, isn't your biological father. If you bring him up the aisle, the world will laugh in both our faces. You have to think about our future too. If people know I married a woman who didn't even invite her biological parents to the wedding, what will society think? How will they look at me?" I heard it clearly. Julian didn't do this for me. He was just afraid the complete family picture he painted wouldn't look good enough in society's eyes. It was all for the reputation of the Yu family. Julian babe, be good, let the wedding go according to my plan, okay? When we get home, I'll cook something delicious for you. When we get home, I'll cook something delicious for you, the exact sentence my mother used to say to Kathy. I turned my head and smiled. Kevin, rest assured, Julian, no one will laugh. You really gave me an extremely big gift. All right, let's go to the hall. I glanced at the 3 people standing there. Kevin, the main table is full. Dad, Mom, and sister, just find empty seats to sit. Order more if you want to eat. Mom, okay, you handle your business. We can take care of ourselves. I looked at Julian, my voice light. Kevin, let's go, Julian. From here on out is the rest of our lives. I walked towards the backstage. He kept pulling my arm. Julian, today, you must agree to let your father walk you in. Kevin, fine, I agree. I interrupted him, looking straight into his eyes. Kevin, go change my father's clothes. If he dresses poorly like that, people will laugh at your family. Julian, why didn't I think of that? I'll go right now. He ran off hurriedly. I pulled up my wedding dress and walked into the backstage area. Kevin, lend me the microphone. Turn the volume to the max so the whole wedding hall can hear me. I picked up the microphone, taking a deep breath. My voice echoed through the banquet hall. Kevin, hello to all our distinguished guests. I am the bride, Kevin Zhang. I apologize for having to use this method to announce something to everyone. I thought today would be the happiest day of my life, but life rarely goes as we wish. Between me and Julian Yu, perhaps fate has run its course. I cannot accept being told to be filial to people regardless of what they have done. I'm sorry, I don't need this wedding anymore. I bowed my head, my voice calm. Kevin, I apologize to Uncle Vincent for disappointing you. I will use the rest of my life to repay the love you have given me. The backstage door was suddenly kicked open. Julian rushed in, his face ferocious, grabbing my neck and screaming. Julian, what the hell do you think you're doing? Do you know you've completely humiliated my family? I became a laughingstock once again. But I didn't regret it. A child who had been stripped of all dignity could still live well. A girl who walked out of her own wedding had nothing to be ashamed of. I threw myself into work like a madwoman. I completely discarded the words Uncle Vincent once taught me, soft, gentle. I didn't need them anymore. If anyone wasn't decent to me, I struck first. 2 years later, I became a demon queen in the industry. The group doubled its sales. Until one day, Julian returned. He was dragged by his collar by his father and thrown straight into my office. His neck and face were full of scratch marks, looking pathetic. Julian's father, you should thank Kevin for the favor of not marrying you. Julian, I didn't know her parents were that kind of people. He held his head, his face miserable. Julian, at first, they pretended to thank me. I thought I should support them a little, so I gave them money. But the more time passed, the greedier they got. For the last 6 months, they pulled a new trick. They forced me to marry her sister, a girl with no hand. They asked me to a restaurant, set up a hidden camera, and forced her sister to strip naked and rush to hug me. Then they brought the photos to my house to blackmail me, demanding $1 billion, or else they would come to my company and make a scene. Julian's father was so angry, he scolded his son right to his face. Julian's father, what you were doing is called stupid filial piety. If Kevin had actually married you, those people would be like dog skin plasters. Once stuck, you can't peel them off for life. Julian, it was my fault. I thought I was a decent person. I truly was stupid. Kevin, you aren't stupid. You're just a flower raised in a greenhouse who has never seen the real world out there. His father continued. Julian's father, I will handle everything that follows. Julian truly doesn't deserve you. That afternoon, I passed by the old street. Right in front of the casino, I saw my biological parents arguing loudly. I walked closer to them and spoke coldly. Kevin, bring Kathy to the coffee shop at the intersection ahead. I'll wait exactly half an hour. 10 minutes later, All three of them came scurrying over. I sat down, my voice steady. "New, Kevin, I won't say much. Now there are two choices. One, keep living like that, and in just a month, the Yu family will send people to clean up. At that point, whether you're beaten to death or die of disease, no one will care. Two, hand Kathy over to me. I will take care of her." "New, Mom, what about us?" "New, Kevin, get out of this place. Go far away, at least 1,000 kilometers from here. I will send money periodically, enough for you to live and get medical treatment. But if you don't appreciate it and stick to your old habits of gambling and drugs, besides the Yu family, I also have my own ways." My parents looked at each other without hesitating for too long. "Nom, Dad, and New, Mom, we agree." Kathy sat beside me, her eyes dull and empty. My parents left, moving to a small town in Yunnan. Kathy stayed with me. Gradually, she became happier, starting to go out, go to school, and travel. 5 years later, I got married. My husband was a university lecturer. A year after that, I had a child. Kathy came to find me saying she wanted to say goodbye. She was about to go to France with her fiancé. New, Kathy's sister, at 13, you had your own world. Now I do too. Also in that year, Uncle Vincent began to weaken noticeably and passed away. I organized a solemn funeral for him. Many people came to see him off. I heard a voice ringing in my ear, full of anxiety. Voice, where is the family? Is there any family? Family? Did Uncle Vincent have any family? I suddenly felt dizzy. I looked around the funeral hall. In the center was a photo placed solemnly, but in the dim light, I couldn't see the face clearly. I stepped closer, but the more I tried to approach, the further the photo receded from my sight. I started to run, but my legs were limp and heavy. People passed back and forth, some walked forward, some walked backward. Everything was chaotic, blurry. Strange, disjointed voices kept ringing in my ears. Nurse, echoing, how long has it been? When discovered, it was at least 40 minutes. The actual situation could be worse. Severe hypothermia. Pulse weak. Heart rate 38. I was lost. Before my eyes was a colorless fog. Doctor, echoing, place the oxygen mask. Increase temperature and humidity to 42 degrees. Infusion solution warmed to 41 degrees. Apply heating blankets. Transfer to ICU. Prepare blood transfusion. I suddenly felt a stream of warm air flood into my body. Wherever it went, my flesh seemed to burn. Before my eyes, everything spun. Images of my life flashed like lightning. I tried to open my eyes, tried to scream, tried to make someone hear my voice. New, Kevin, dying. I am Kevin Zhang. My father is a house salesman addicted to mahjong. My mother works as a server in a restaurant. Her last workplace was called Vincent's Restaurant. I used to have a deskmate named Julian Yu, but his dad's name was Joe, a taxi driver. He loved copying my homework, often said he would take me to France later, but I wanted to go to Hong Kong. I never dared to tell him that my parents once secretly went for a DNA test. I'm afraid to go home. Being burned with cigarette butts really hurts. Being whipped with a belt hurts so much I can't breathe. I never had a dream. I just wanted to live one more time. If possible, I don't want to bear the name Kevin Zhang anymore, that name neither male nor female. I want to be called Kathy Zhang. Doctor, ventricular fibrillation. Stop. Everyone stop. Prepare defibrillation, 200 joules. Charged. Everyone clear the bed. Clear. A bolt of lightning seemed to pierce straight through my chest. My whole body jerked up in the void. I sat up abruptly. My chest was heavy, but strangely I felt no pain, absolutely no sensation at all. The images around me ran wild, each scene, each face, each cry flashing by like a fast-forwarded film reel. Nurse, temperature is still dropping. Doctor, child, don't give up. We are trying our best, you have to try too. The darkness gradually faded. The fragments of memory also faded and vanished like smoke. I didn't hide anything. Many people sat around me. Everyone was wearing black, bowing low so their faces couldn't be seen. Doctor, voice fading, chief, it's no good. What a pity, so young, and such a pretty girl. The voices gradually dissolved. The world sank into absolute silence. From a distance, the portrait hanging on the white frame gradually became clear. The person in the photo was me. I calmly looked at myself in the frame. I was very beautiful. Everyone present there could clearly see that. I wonder if Mom and Dad saw it? I truly didn't hide the money. But that no longer matters anymore.